If you've ever thought of quilting your own projects but just don't know where to start, I have the perfect first steps for you. I've put together a PDF guide. I call it 3 Steps Toward Freehand Freedom. These are the baby steps, but they can help you move past your overwhelm and show you that yes, indeed, freehand quilting can be learned. So if you'd like to snag this PDF, there's a link in the show notes, or if you're an Instagram user, just message me 3 steps. That's the number 3 STEPS, and I'll send you that link. Let today be the day you get started.
The biggest thing that I have had to really come to terms with is that you do belong in this space and you can be in this space. Whatever your space is, take up the space, and while you are there, is be you in it.
Welcome to Measure Twice, Cut Once, the podcast where we hear quilters and other crafters' stories and draw encouragement and even life lessons from them. I'm your host, Susan Smith, and I'm coming to you from my quilting studio, Stitched by Susan. This is where my long arm Lucy and I spend lots of hours doing freehand, edge-to-edge quilting. And if you're not a quilter and those terms mean nothing to you, it's basically doodling on the surface of a quilt with a 50-pound writing utensil with needle and thread attached at high speed. And if you are a machine quilter, I invite you to tune in to the live and unscripted events that I host on my YouTube channel, also called Stitched by Susan. They're on the first and third Friday of every month, and they are usually one project from start to finish in real time, and they're streamed live, so they're interactive, meaning you can ask questions and get answers about a project while I'm working on it. So I invite you to join me there again the first and third Friday of every month. The quilting community, as I'm sure you already know, is so diverse, so colorful, and supportive. So I invite you to listen in as we meet a new quilter each week and hear their stories. Today's Pins and Needles is brought to you by The Will and Dave Show.
Hi, I'm the Will Hap of The Will and Dave Show, a short little podcast that myself and the eponymous Dave like to record talking about the things that really matter to us, whether that's social, political, or pop culture. Usually we don't see eye to eye, but more often than not, we can find some common ground in there somewhere. And now, back to Pins and Needles, with a quick tip for all you sharp quilters out there.
I think most quilters will agree that how you press a quilt really matters, really makes a difference. But it's not only your iron and your starch and so forth that make a difference. Your ironing surface does as well. Most traditional ironing boards were made with garment construction in mind, so they'll have the tapered and curved end, usually on the left, that's intended to fit into sleeves and curves and areas of garments to help press them smoothly. But it's not ideal when you're working on a quilt that is usually square and has long, straight edges. So what I've done for my ironing surface is I've just added a topper onto it. So it rests on top of my existing ironing board. It's not fancy. It's just made from 3/4 inch plywood, which I covered with batting and then with fabric. And I've just wrapped it around and stapled it onto the back side. Super simple. And then I added a couple little slats that keep it situated on top of my ironing board so it can't slide end to end or front to back. And it just keeps it snugly in place. And I have found an incredible difference and value in having those long, straight edges so that I can iron long, straight pieces, for example. And it's just much easier to work on a square quilt on a square ironing surface. Be sure to tune in next week for Pressing Tip 2.0. You know I love my coffee. If you're interested in supporting this podcast, I invite you to go to buymeacoffee.com/Stitched by Susan. There, for the price of one delicious coffee, you are able to make a one-time contribution. I thank you so very much for your support. And maybe take a moment now to refill your cup as you settle back to enjoy today's interview. My guest today is Cherise Spain. Cherise combines her love of sewing and crocheting and pirates in her business name. Just wait till you hear the play on words. We talk about all these loves in this episode, and how they've grown to provide a source of income for Sharice's family. And she's been able to stay involved in her kids' lives, and it has just provided so much enrichment for her family. And of course, her kids help to inspire and sometimes help her to create some of her new quilting pattern releases. Well, hello there, Sharice, and welcome to the studio.
Well, hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am so much looking forward to this. Whenever I'm getting ready to do a podcast recording, I always quickly go back and scroll again through my guest's Instagram feed just to kind of refresh my memory. And my goodness, your feed is so much fun.
Oh, thank you. And some say it's very pink, and it's so true. That's my color.
We call this brand recognition, don't we?
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
For sure. So you are, again, looking through your feed, you have a number of different hobbies. And I just wonder, what brought you into the crafting world? Have you always done crafts? Was there kind of an entry point or someone that introduced you?
Sure. I have actually always been a creative type person. We can even go back to high school. I cross-stitched for a bit. And that's when I did my first, we'll call it a quilt. It's never finished. I jumped into the deep end of learning how to foundation paper piece, pre-YouTube, buy a book, and I didn't read. So anyways, skip forward several years, and I should say decades even, but in 2010, I had moved to a small town in Missouri. And I didn't know anybody. So I was trying to meet new people. And I found this group that did all different kinds of crafts: embroidery, cross stitch, crochet, quilting, kind of you name it. And it was really the crocheting and the quilting that stuck and kind of took over my creative brain. And I haven't turned back since.
That's awesome. Honestly, I've had the same experience with quilting. I've done crafts all my life alongside my mom too, and know a number of different ones. But as soon as I really got into quilting, boy, everything else just went by the wayside.
And I struggle because it was finding the time between quilting and crocheting. But now I've found that balance where, like in the evenings, especially now after my kiddos go to sleep, that's when I can sit and veg and crochet. And during the day when I need to think and sew and they're at school, I get to do the quilting aspect of it. I found my balance in the way to do both. It was kind of hard at first.
I believe you. Okay, so you still have young children, yes?
I do. I have a 7-year-old. She's in first grade, Lillian, and I have a 6-year-old, Brian, who is in kindergarten. They are just, goodness, they're so funny, and they have become a part of my creative life too. So I started off, doing crochet items and quilt items for them before they were even born. And then they've evolved into, as I started to make this into a business, I have, basically had the chance to work with them. They've helped me with picking out colors and fabrics, and they've helped me with packaging patterns. I mean, it's truly a family business.
Oh, that is so invaluable for your kids to be able to,
yes.
I don't know, it's way, way better than go to work with your mom day for one day. They get to be involved
Right.
in the whole process from beginning to end. And what an appreciation they'll have for what it is to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, it's very different. It's funny because I really got that from my dad. He is, for as long as I can remember, been his own boss, business owner. And now he and my mom do that. And I don't know if it's genetic or what, but now it's my turn to do that and take that step.
Don't you think when you see that sort of exampled for you, you see how wonderful an entrepreneur's life can be? Entrepreneur. Boy, there's a lot of syllables in there.
There is.
There certainly are cons to it as well, but there are so many advantages. And when you've seen that firsthand in your parents, you're picking up the baton and going on with it, and perhaps your kids will too.
Yes. And it's nice because it's that flexibility that it affords. Because for years before, like when my kids were babies, toddlers, I was, mostly a stay-at-home mom. I worked part-time just so I could still feel like an adult at times.
Have adult conversations here and there.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I still wanted, though, to be a part of their lives more often. even when they went to school. So meaning being able to do the stuff with them for school, being there when they got on the bus, being there when they got home. I wanted to still have more time. And doing this has afforded me that opportunity to be able to be flexible for them when they, when they need it. And I just,
Yeah.
it's been great.
Good for you. That sounds grand. So your Instagram handle, is that the right term? Is
Yes.
Sew Hooked on Treasures, which I just think is the coolest name because you sew and you have crochet hooks. And so there's that little play on words. Was that kind of a family event coming up with that name, or did you just have a aha moment one day?
It was more of an aha moment in combining the sewing and the crochet into one. But when I initially looked, just Sew Hooked was taken. So I said, okay, well, we have to go somewhere else with this. But side note, and how this kind of all comes together is I have this thing for pirates. And so that's where the treasure aspect came in. So in my logo, you'll notice the crossed hook and needle on purpose, kind of the X marks the spot deal. And so when I added the on treasures to it was my way of incorporating my fancy with pirates too.
Of course, there's the ultimate pirate hook as well. That's an impressive play on words. Wow. Well done.
Yeah. So it's very, as my family says, oh, it's so Cherise, but it really is. And I think that's kind of the point of purpose is you want to make it your own and do your own thing. And so, yeah, I just kind of incorporated lots of those things that I loved all into one.
I love that. So, again, scrolling back through your feed, you recently crocheted. This is your combination too of the two arts. You crocheted, it looked like a pillow front that was crocheted, but the pattern of it was a quilt block. So, half square triangles and other pieces in that. Is that like crazy hard to do? Like I know how to crochet, but just the idea of changing threads like within little elements stumps me.
It can be a challenge and getting that coordination with your fingers when you're doing color changes, but it was part of the Stronger Together quilt and cross stitch pattern that I did in conjunction with Fat Quarter Shop for Black History Month. It was also like a fundraising initiative for us for United Negro College Fund. As we're working through the quilt design, and they're fantastic cross stitchers, designers, they put together the cross stitch design to go with the quilt design. It clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, you know what? I can just actually use the chart for the cross stitch pattern as my crochet pattern. And that's when it was very last minute, which was crazy because I was in the process of a move. I was doing the sew along and all these other things that were happening. I'm like, oh yeah, let's just throw in one more thing.
Let's do.
Right. Why not? Just jump into the deep end. So I incorporated that with it as well. So I just took the cross stitch pattern to use it to crochet the same design into a pillow because they're all single crochet stitches. So it comes out much smaller than it does from the quilt. And of course, bigger than it does from the cross stitch. It's kind of in between. So it made for the perfect pillow. I just kind of did a border around till it was big enough and it worked.
It's impressive. Okay,
Thank
but
you.
back up and tell us a little bit more about the Stronger Together quilt along, kind of the premise and the purpose of it. That looked like a very rewarding project to me.
It was. I had probably, more fun than I even thought I would to begin with. But between working with Kimberly and Jocelyn at Fat Quarter Shop, Jocelyn and Kate had asked me, would you like to design the 2022 quilt for Stronger Together? Because I was part of this sew along for 2021, which was their first year doing it. And I said, well, yes. I mean, how do you say no to that kind of opportunity? It was just kind of like, absolutely. So I worked together with Jocelyn, who is their lead designer. And we even had, one day, a few hours, we're playing with fabrics and mixing and matching. And so that's where the design came from. I am more a low volume, softer tones kind of person, but I know there are people that like more of the jewel tones and brighter colors. So we went with two different colorways even to kind of, and of course people are going to choose what they like also. So either way, but I wanted to try to get a different variety.
Mm-hmm.
So we did 2 different colorways, and what we did was, instead of paying for the pattern, we asked people to donate to the United Negro College Fund for what they would have paid for the pattern. So the cool thing was, yay, we met our goal of raising $10,000 with everybody's help for the UNCF. And then the Fat Quarter Shop also donated additional $7,000 toward it. So it was a nice donation and fundraising event that we did as part of Black History Month to help this organization who helps, young Black students be able to get a college education. As a college graduate is extremely important to me, and to also to, help others to do the same thing as well. So it was, they're so rewarding on so many different levels. Like, I can't even tell you.
I can see that. And your face just shines when you're talking about it. I can see how much it means to you. And I just so admire the way that you're paying forward, the good gifts that you've received. And I just love that.
Well, thank you.
And so it was a quilt along too, right? So people would have purchased the pattern and then choose their own fabrics and then quilt alongside. Yeah.
Yes, the patterns were free, the cross stitch pattern and the quilt pattern, which are still out there, by the way. So if anybody still wants to download this for free, you by all means, please do. They're on the Fat
So what would they be
website.
looking for? Stronger Together? Is that the name of the patterns?
Yes, the 2022 pattern for quilting and cross stitch are both still on fatquartershop.com, and they're totally for free. The one last year for 2021 is a paid pattern. And what they did last year was a little bit differently, was they just divided the proceeds for the donation. This year they did all for free, and people just gave it the kindness of their hearts this time. So it was awesome to see.
And I just bet, knowing quilters, that they were pretty generous.
Yes.
Quilters are.
Exactly. Absolutely. And you know what? It's one of those things, is because this is not exactly a cheap hobby, so to speak, so we are invested, and we like to invest in not only our craft, but into each other, and to other organizations. And that's just one of the things that I found about the quilting and, goodness, just creative community period, is investing in other people. It's just remarkable to see that.
And to me, that's also one of the high points, the pros of being an entrepreneur, is that you get to choose. You get to choose to put your time into those projects. You get to choose, where you want to give your money, what you want to support. And I love that freedom to choose to put my investment, as you say, where my care is. So good.
Exactly.
I wonder, Cherise, if you can, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but I wonder if you can think of a quilter, or honestly a crochet person too, that you admire, that you really look up to and have followed, and that's been kind of instrumental in your journey.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Oh, yes. There are several that I have, that are inspirational, if you will, that I look up to. I mean, many, for many different reasons. But I think a couple that stand out. One is Mary Davis of Merry Go Round Quilts. When I really started to get involved in more so like in the Instagram community, which I fought tooth and nail to begin with. But either way, once I got there, like, she and I, we initially met through her program, her membership for Quilters of Color. And we have done, several collaborations since we've known each other. Goodness, probably a year and a half now. I don't know, going on 2 years. I don't know. But actually, since her membership opened up, and we've just kind of been partners in quilty crime over the past few years. We did like a quilt along with the Dream Big panel from Hoffman Fabrics. It's that big flower that you see people of free motion quilting. Mm-hmm. So we did that together, and we've done several other things. And it's just been, I just love her and the support that we have there. It's just been just phenomenal. Another person would be Elizabeth Chappell from Quilter's Candy. I started pattern designing before I actually took her pattern writing course this past fall. Yes. And I got the chance to meet her and to get to know her. And, because I had been doing it for about a year roughly, but I mean, there's still so much to learn at that point. I'm still very green, I feel like sometimes. But meeting her, and then even just that community that I met in the course has that support and that just what you learn from other people and each other as you go along has just been invaluable. Honestly, I came across this group and Mary and a few others in a time in a personal level where my life was kind of a little bit of upheaval and a lot of change and things just are not going so great, if you will. But I found that support and that comfort from those people in a way that I just would never have imagined, and kind of really helped me to get through some of those harder times that I was going through. And so those are the ones that stand out from, just off the top of my head. I can think of others that just designers that I enjoyed their work. Like I recently started to do some improv just to use up my scraps and to try it out. And Carol Lyle Shaw, she's just a phenomenal improv quilter. So I'm not at her level yet, but I was like, I'm working to try to get there. And I initially started doing curves. I learned that back, I'll say back, but from Daisy at Warm Folk. She was my introduction to curves and to learning those. So goodness, my list could get really long if I don't cut myself off here.
This is just fascinating, though. One or two of those I had not heard of. Mary Davis is one, but now I will go find her. So I appreciate that.
Yes, Mary Go Round Quilts.
I jotted it down.
Awesome.
There's just such a remarkable community surrounding quilting. And, maybe this is true of other crafty or arty endeavors, and I just don't know it because I'm immersed in the quilting world. But I just find, and I hear this refrain from so many of you, other people, that there is this incredible support and acceptance within the quilting community. And I love that. I'm quite proud to be part of that community. So I know you are too. I can see it.
Yes, there is. And not just from a creative standpoint, but just on a personal level where, especially as, Black female mid-40s coming in, and there was stereotypes that went along with quilting. And so that initially was kind of made me a little bit nervous, if you will, but it just seems like all those things are just, we're quilters or crocheters, whatever, we're, artists, and it's just none of that matters. And we have this share of the love of whatever the craft is that we do.
I'm so glad you have found that to be true for you.
Yes.
Okay. I have a couple, I should back up for just a second. We happen to be recording episode 1 of season 2 of my podcast. I've completed a whole year. So I'm trying something new this season. Okay. I'm going to do a couple of rapid fire questions, and they're sort of either or, and they don't really have to do with quilting. They're just so we can get to know you a little bit. All right. So when you're in your crafty room creating, do you prefer sweet snacks or salty snacks?
Salty.
All right. And when you're working, do you work barefoot or do you always have shoes on?
Slippers, actually.
Oh, look at you go. Find a loophole.
I know. I don't like to have bare feet, but I don't like to sew with shoes on. It's, I drive with shoes, but I could not, sew like on the pedal, my sewing machine with shoes. It's weird.
Isn't that so true? Like you just can't correctly operate the pedal of a sewing machine with a shoe on.
No.
It just doesn't work. So slippers is a great idea.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't know how that is possible.
I agree. Okay. And do you drink coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Of course, I was chatting with my husband about these questions, right? And we're trying to narrow them down to make them quick. Because I'm like, well, there's coffee and there's tea and then there's frou-frou drinks because, there's the strawberry acai refreshers, but that's a little long for a rapid fire question. Well, I'm firmly in the coffee camp too.
Yay.
So what's on your horizon these days in your work studio? Have you got any new projects underway or maybe new pattern releases we can be expecting to see soon or books?
Not books, but just recently I had a pattern published in Make Modern magazine. That was in their March issue. Yes, I love working with them. They are a nice modern quilt magazine out of Australia, the digital magazine. It's fantastic. the content that they have. So that happened last month. And also in April, which is just on the horizon by the time this airs, it'll probably be April. I do have a new pattern called Tavern Window coming out. It is a wall hanging / baby quilt, either way you'd like to use it. And it's fun because my kids and I were having a Shrek marathon weekend, and that's where the idea for this design came from. So it's kind of funny. My kids wanted me to call it Shrek, and I said, I can't do that. It's not allowed.
Aw, too bad.
Right. I was like, oh, that would be fun. It's like, oh, I don't think DreamWorks would be so happy about that. So I decided not to.
So I'm curious, do they kind of see the connection between the movies that you were watching and the pattern that you designed? Like, are they kind of invested in this pattern?
Oh, sort of. And because if I see like something that sparks my attention or my interest and inspires me to get it into a quote format, I take pictures. I take pictures of random things, and they're like, "Oh, Mama, will that make a good quote?" I said, "I think it will." And so, then we talk about it. And then when I'm actually get into the design aspect, I'll be like, I'll ask them, about between the picture and the design, what they think, and they get involved that way too. It's kind of nice.
That is so nice. You're training up some artisans right there. Good for you.
I love it. Yeah, my daughter's she is very artistic as well. My son could probably take it or leave it sometimes, but that's okay. If it's not cars and trains, these days, Pokemon, not really interested, but either way, he still will get involved and he'll compliment, "Oh, Mama, you made a nice quilt. I like that. Those are pretty colors."
So great. So great. Well, I will be sure to add links and information in the show notes where folks can find your website and follow you on Instagram and see your pretty pink pictures. Okay. And one last thing before we go, I always like to ask my guests if you have a little gem that you would like to leave with our listeners. It doesn't have to do with crafting, can be anything about life or crafting or creating, whatever you like, a little thought to leave with us.
Sure. And it actually can be both crafting and creating or just life in general. It's the biggest thing that I have had to really come to terms with is that you do belong in this space and you can be in this space, whatever your space is. Own it and love it and take up the space. And while you are there, is be you in it. Enjoy what it is that you are doing and also put your own spin on it. Don't worry about what so-and-so is doing or, what your neighbor's doing. It's just enjoy your process, enjoy your space, and be you in it.
And you're right. That is great advice for all of life. So thank you for that. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Well, thank you for having me. I have had so much fun. It's been great.
That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning into the show. If you enjoyed this podcast, would you consider leaving a rating and review on the listening app of your choice? And please, please do share this episode with your friends that you think would enjoy it. I'd love to hear from listeners who'd like to nominate a crafter with a story to tell. If you know such a person or you are one, email me at info@stitchedbysusan.com. So until next time, may your sorrows be patched and your joys be quilted.